And then you throw in the Minnesota angle, and Kevin O'Connell said in recent days of the talks with Aaron Rodgers, and it's been confirmed. It was confirmed last week by GM Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. The talks occurred. Said O'Connell, Rodgers is a four-time NFL MVP and somebody who, not just myself, but we've all had so much respect for competing against him. He happened to be at a point in time in his career where he was free to have some real dialogue about what his future may look like. And what happened to be one of those teams that he reached, and we happen to be one of those teams that he reached out to. But I do feel very strongly about where J.J. McCarthy is right now, and based upon the information we have from the evaluation process, the time we've had with him, I feel very good about projecting a really positive year for J.J. The lead buried in those remarks is that Rodgers came to them. He didn't get pursued by the Vikings. And I don't know if that was intentional or he's just telling, I mean, O'Connell's just telling the truth. I think he's a truthful guy. He reached out to us. And so the opportunity was presented to us. And what are we just going to say? No to a four-time NFL MVP? We're going to have the conversation. But last week, Adolfo-Mensah did not close the door on revisiting the conversation later. And I think a lot of it depends upon what McCarthy does in the offseason program.
Yeah, I think it was probably a tactical thing O'Connell did there. One, he's letting everybody know, and J.J. McCarthy, like, hey, we weren't calling around trying to find a replacement or anything like that. So that's where it's good there. And then, yeah, it does put the onus on Aaron Rodgers to a degree, and I understand Aaron Rodgers calling around and trying to figure that out. I can get that. He's looking at viable options, teams that could set him up, a roster that makes sense and all of that. And he probably looked at the Vikings and said all the things that we've said, right? They're set up. They got a damn good team. I can go there and tear it up with Justin Jefferson and company in the pass game. The defense is good with Brian Flores. They got a quarterback that, hasn't really played in the NFL. He's young. I wonder if they really want to do that. I wonder if they even know that I would go there. I'm an option. So he calls, and so be it. So, of course, they think about it, and we'll see where it goes. Now, when's the first OTA for the Vikings? Are they having one before the draft, or are they waiting till after the draft? Do you know, Mr. Viking guy? But that, to me, is something to kind of look at, too.
There's 3 phases to the offseason program, and we don't get to phase 3 until after the draft. Now, you can do and the mandatory minicamp's not going to be before then.
No, but you can usually do some OTAs before the draft, can't you? Or am I wrong about that now?
I don't think it progresses all the way to phase 3. Phase 1 is a couple weeks of cardio and lifting, and then they can do some on-field stuff. I don't think we get to the 10 OTA sessions. I'm pretty certain of this. We don't get to the 10 OTA sessions until after the draft.
Okay.
I just think the way the calendar works, you don't get to phase 3 until May.
Yeah, I can't remember either, and maybe I'll look that up at our next break just to make sure. Because, there were years where we had OTAs, and I know teams did have OTAs. You got maybe one in right before the draft because teams would want to go, hey, let me look at our team one more time in person and have a few practices. So we just got a better feel and feel a little bit better with what we might do in the draft, and it can confirm some thoughts, but I'm not 100% sure.
You might be thinking of the rule that allows a team with a new head coach to have an extra voluntary mini camp.
Right.
You might be thinking of that.
That's what it might be.
But I still don't – maybe it does happen before the draft. We know after the draft, that's when we have like the rookie mini camp and the tryouts, and you get a bunch of guys who show up for a weekend with all the draft picks, and they shoot their shot to try to get on a 90-man roster. But I think from the Vikings standpoint, it's less about the draft. It's more about, are they going to pivot from McCarthy to Rodgers?
Yeah.
And will Rodgers have signed with the Steelers by the time the Vikings pull the ripcord on the Rodgers option, if they even get to the point where they would want to? All right, let's take a break.
Yep.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.